Alright, today I just wanted to go through this new assassin build that I've been playing around with. It doesn't use Mosaic, but it's got a bunch of high-end gear and stuff like that. So I'll just take you through what we're using. I'll go over, so we got Chaos and Plague, and then on swap we got our CTA, but we have Phoenix on swap. So we like to gather the charges on our main side, all like Fist of Fire and Blades of Ice, and all the type of shit that we literally can't actually gather if we were using like an axe and a shield or a sword and a shield. So then we use our Dragon Tail on swap because we're going to get more out of it because of the Phoenix. But then we have all our charges that we gather on the main side, if that makes sense. I tried a couple different variations, like having an Act 5 Frenzy Mercenary with like dual Plague. Then I tried Plague and like something else. But I think the Infinity Mercenary is almost necessary for this build. The other gear on him is, you know, you could put Treachery or something and give him a Vamp Gaze and it would be fine. I just wanted Flickering Flame to bump up my fire res in case I want to like fight and not have to use Fade. But I mean, Fade is perfectly fine. I can actually attack faster against the bosses when I'm doing didn't realize I still had like the big size. Hope my face didn't get in the way right there. But when you're doing bosses, I like to use Burst of Speed. Like depending on the area that I'm at, I might use Fade, but I usually just go with Burst of Speed. So you got to gather all your charges. And the thing, like I can use, you also I feel like have to use Death Sentry a lot more when you're not using mosaics and stuff. Even though it's a quote-unquote martial arts assassin, I just want to make sure I have all my charges. I usually only use Tiger Strike, I use Blades of Ice, and I use Fists of Fire. I don't even bother with Phoenix Strike. So I gather those up and then I just Telly Stomp and I kick. The reason I like Dragon Tail, so even without charges I got 13k. But if I get all my charges for Dragon Tail, it's like 74k. It can definitely be even higher than that, especially if I was to like gather up like Phoenix Strike and Claws of Thunder as well, in addition to what I have. But I also use Dragon Talon, but I only really use that against the boss. I feel like Dragon Tail, for the ability to just get one charge out at a time, get the most utility out of your charges. Because, I mean, you're not going to really need to hit them with a machine gun kick with a bunch of crushing blow unless it's a boss or, like, certain enemies in the Bale Waves. Like, I'll show you that right here. See, like, if I do Dragon Talon, it uses up all my charges and it's kind of wasteful on an enemy that would have died in one kick anyways on players 1. So that's how I like to do that. Usually for something like in here, I would just go with Fade though. That way I'll be a little bit safer. Not really have to worry. And between the cleansing aura from the Plague and the and Fade, between those two, the curses are like gone instantly, basically. I'd say that really, honestly, I could literally just teleport around and hit him with Dragon Tail and then use the combos and the charges for other stuff. Literally just use Dragon Tail and Death Sentry. It's gonna take everything out. And I'll constantly have this Redemption Aura as well. So I mean, you can play it many different ways. It's almost like there's not really much point, I guess, for the combos except for the boss fight. Damn. See, her being immune to physical, that's one of those enemies that I probably should either avoid or I should just use I had to gather charges to deal with her. And Dragon Tail wasn't going to work on her because Dragon Tail converts physical energy physical energy. Dragon Tail converts physical damage to fire damage. So if I had like a bone break sundering charm in there, those type of enemies wouldn't be an issue. But I had to Dragon Talon that specific one. I like the visual of having the charges and everything, but it is kind of tedious to constantly keep them up. See how this one's not taking any damage? That's because I don't have any charges. But if I have charges, those Fists of Fire or Blades of Ice, anything, any type of elemental damage, then it gets rid of that issue real quick. So if I wanted to really just teleport around and kick those with Dragon Tail, all I'd need is to use a Bone Break Sunder Charm and that would fix that issue. But see, like these, let me get my Merc out of harm's way. The funny thing is, you'd think that the Redemption Aura would get in the way of your traps, but it only really does. Usually the traps pop the corpses before the Redemption Aura can even mess anything up. But I mean, this is just players 1 right here, and as you can see, it's not like I'm just breezing through the level. And some people would say, oh well, that's how it should be with the martial arts assassin. You're doing martial arts, you're not Harry Potter casting spells and dropping everything. So I mean, maybe, but at the same time it is kind of tedious like this. And I wonder, you know, if they did nerf Mosaic, will I be able to even run it with a plague and have a good build, or is it just going to be you know, I imagine even if they nerfed it, it'll probably be a little bit better quality of life than this build. But at the same time, depending on how hard they nerf it, it might not, you know, with it being 50% for one of them, that along with Plague would be really fun to use. But if they nerf it further, then it might not be that big of a quality of life, and I might as well use Chaos for like the Frozen Orb and Charge Bolt procs, as well as like magic damage, the ability to Whirlwind, all that good stuff. So I think if they were to nerf Plague or change it, I think that they should also do some other stuff with some of the martial arts skills in general, and maybe the way that the charges work, because otherwise it's like, why don't I just teleport around and just kick everything one time and drop it? I mean, there's not really much. There's not a whole lot of motivation to do all this extra work, basically, when you're hitting them with combos and stuff. But I mean, it's fun. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's not fun. And also now being on swap with the Phoenix and laying your traps with that is gonna make your trap stronger with the Corpse Explosion. So I mean, my issue is mainly when you get to the boss themselves, because what happens is you're not really hitting the boss very often unless you have your charges up. And the problem, like I saw Mr. Llama say one thing, and maybe you should only be allowed to have 3 different charges at a time. That might be fine, because like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't want to play it in a way where you have to have like 8 hotkeys and gather your charges up constantly. Like at a certain point it kind of becomes redundant and unnecessary to have that many charges at once. I mean, yeah, it does more damage, but some of the enemies you could take out like without charges. I should have laid traps before that. I'm not even like, I'm trying to think while I'm playing right now to try to cover all the talking points that I had about this, rather than like playing the character like it's kind of hard to focus on saying what I want to say and also, you know, playing the character like a pro. I mean, I built the character out yesterday, so I mean, it's not like I've had a ton of playtime with this. My whole thing though is I feel like it's more of a quality of life thing than an actual like a power thing. Because I mean, like a sorceress or a hammered in or something like that, they don't have to like go and gather hammers before they can cast them or something. So it's like, in order for this build to be something you can just cruise through the level, you know, and casually play and magic find with and stuff, I think there definitely has to be a certain amount of quality of life for the martial arts skills, because there's something, especially like Phoenix Strike and Tiger Strike, the way that she attacks compared to the claw ones, it's like, I don't like these. These seem like they miss more for some reason. And it's kind of hard to gather during the actual boss fight itself. It's kind of hard to gather your charges. That's one thing that I noticed. I don't need to be using Fists of Fire against those guys. I just need to be using Tiger Strike and the Blades of Ice. But it's like for Bale himself, I'll get some charges at first, and then I'll go in there and use the charges, and then I'll demonstrate like trying to get them back in the middle of the boss fight, which is just kind of tedious. And he had to like put things in the way. So as you can see, like getting the charges and everything, it's almost better to like get a charge kick, and then also the charges, like even for like Tiger Strike or something, it's kind of hard to see them with the blade shield active. And I didn't realize like Dragon Tail, the way that Dragon Tail is like glitched right now or bugged, like doing consecutive Dragon Tail kicks at, like, look at that, you can start to see where the animation is desynced. But the thing about that too is like, I guess really I should have skilled this character different and put more points into Dragon Talon and max that out instead of Dragon Tail. But I want Dragon Tail to just be like that telly stomp kick and they go down kind of thing. So maybe I'm fine with the Dragon Tail the way it is. But it actually feels really fun throughout the level, but against the boss, that's when it feels like it kind of falls off a cliff to a certain degree. Here's like my martial arts. Here's all my skill trees. Here's all my stats. I probably should have pumped into dexterity more. That's probably also part of the reason why it's hard to like gather charges against the boss. But Bale seems like he kind of like flinches you a little bit, and with that one attack that he does that like takes all your mana away and knocks you back. So yeah, here's all the gear though. Plague, got some random gloves. I could put some martial arts gloves on, I suppose. Let me see how bad. So I mean, I kind of need the res, but I mean, I guess I could always just rely on fade, really. So I got those gloves, 320 martial arts gloves. I was using those other gloves that you just saw. FCR ring with all res on it, some life leech, some attack rating, Arachnid Smash, Ravenfrost, Gore Riders. Then we got Chaos, Mara's, Enigma, and then 220 Assassin Tiara. I put a 15 IAS jewel in it, and then like a little imperfect poison facet. So I'm thinking maybe I should start also using Venom in addition, but I mean, I don't really think that's going to be necessary. Then we got CTA and Phoenix on swap. Here's all my martial arts skillers. And I think I got one Geeds in there, Torch and Annie, and then just some random small charms. I could build this in a way where it would be way better and efficient for boss running. Just like as high crushing blow as I can get, and then literally just use something like Tiger Strike or something, have a ton of dexterity as well, and just go over there with like a Death Phase Blade or like Last Wish or something, gather a charge, Dragon Talon, gather a charge, Dragon Talon, and that's basically all that build would be in order to take the boss down really fast. But I kind of like the light show. I kind of like the light show of the martial arts assassin. And it's funny because I honestly never knew that the charges could stack like this all this time. That's how much of a noob I am. So I never knew that, and I definitely think Mosaic adds a certain quality of life, and also like a new option for somebody to like start a ladder or to start a new character, and to be able to get like a really strong character relatively quick. Blizzard Sorceress are with like hammered in. I feel like certain players, if they could play the game for the first time or something like that, them being able to have access to like a really powerful character without having to have the craziest gear would be a pleasant experience for some people. One thing that I probably do when I play this character is I probably spend too long gathering charges past the point of already having them. So maybe there could be some type of like indicator on the screen, like charge 1, like maybe even like, you know, other than right there, maybe there could be something somewhere on the screen that lets you know that you have the charges, so you're not just sitting there basically pointlessly hitting the enemy over and over with the charge up skills. I guess that's a good sign to end the video right there. The claw broke.